focus on you. Hang on.
Now you could lock focus.
Yeah, you can. Let me just do a little intro. That was terrible.
Isn't it weird that at certain times of the month, everything you do annoys me, and at other times of the month, I just really don't care?
Are you in the annoying phase?
No.
My annoying phase now?
No, I just know that in 2 weeks' time, if you did that, I'd be like, oh, for fuck's sake, why is he so
You just want
irritating?
to stab me when I do everything.
I'd be like, get away from me. Don't look at me.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think we're live. But I think we're live. Good. We've got a few people logging in. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning into the live podcast. Good to see you. Thanks for coming back. Excuse the fact I look like a Yeti.
He won't let me cut his hair, and I don't understand why. I'm good at cutting hair.
I know you're good at cutting hair, Hannah, but I don't trust you. I like looking like David Gandhi.
I really like when you have a long beard, like a bushy beard. Yeah,
I don't.
I think it's cute.
Bedraggled and awful.
I mean, the hair, I'm not such a fan of.
It's focused. The hair, the hair's all. Oh, you're not. Oh,
well,
good.
no, like the fluffy, like mullet bit around the back. It's not a massive turn on.
It's pretty horrible, isn't it?
But what can you do?
What can you do?
Hairdressers.
Exactly. Let me just fix that light here. I don't have a shadow on your face. This is all haphazard. This is what happens when you don't have an assistant in to help with all this stuff. You've got to do it all by yourself and multitask. Who says men can't multitask, hey? Let me turn that down a bit. Oh, there we are. Look at that. That's a sweet spot. Oh, nice, Hannah Max.
Except now I have to squint.
Yeah, good. Okay, I think we're set. All right, let's get into this.
We're child-free until 3 o'clock. Yeah,
yes.
Babes. Love that schools have gone back.
I know. Honestly, my cortisone levels have dropped to about 10% of what they were.
It's nice, isn't it? Just to actually not have to juggle on a couple of days a week. It feels good.
Yeah, it feels great.
I feel like we all needed it. I think all the families all around the country will just be like, oh yeah, we all needed a break.
You could almost, if you went, the way when they did the clap for the NHS, and you could go out the back garden and you could hear everyone clapping. You could almost hear the collective sigh from parents.
Yeah, 9 o'clock drop off. Yes.
Thank fuck that's over. Yeah, and it's nice because I feel like with the kids going back and the normality coming, sinking back in, I feel almost like I'm feeling myself again.
That's good.
Come out of a dark phase. Yeah, and now I'm starting to feel like normal again, which is good.
Without darkness, you can't feel light.
Oh, shut up, you basic bitch.
Call me a basic bitch.
Speaking of basic bitch, you're doing a yoga course right now, aren't you?
How is that basic bitch? Fuck you, Steph.
I'm really teasing. No, but you're doing a
yoga. Go and shave your bloody hair.
Can I? I wouldn't mind shaving it all off, actually.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I might do that. I should book my hairdresser for a month.
So glad you paid for that hair transplant.
Anyway, shut up. Let's talk about your let's talk about your yoga. Your yoga-ing.
What do you want to know?
So you've gone balls deep into yoga now, haven't you? You're doing a course and everything.
I've gone balls deep.
You got funny deep. Oh,
ew.
Christ, I wish I didn't say that.
Oh, someone help me.
Oh.
Yeah, I am doing my 200-hour yoga teacher training.
Yeah, 200
which I'm really
hours.
excited about. I'm such a kino. Every chance I get, I'm like on my mat or at my computer. Or the good thing about doing it online is that you can literally squeeze it around your life. So if you have a busy life, they pre-record loads of the stuff. So like when I have to sit in Rufus's room in the evening while he falls asleep, I can watch a lecture and make notes. That is the definition of multitasking. But no, it's great. I'm really enjoying it. I'd say the only thing is that I'm quite keen for the anatomy part to be over, because although I do find it interesting, there's just a lot to take in, and my brain doesn't deal well with kind of holding information that I'm not necessarily like massively interested in. Like I just want to know the exact things that I need to know to keep people safe. I don't really care about like the names of the joints and stuff,
It's interesting you have to learn all of that though.
Yeah, there's a lot. It goes really deep actually, the anatomy stuff. I think it's 3 or 4 modules of anatomy.
Once you've done your course, what does that mean then? You're qualified to teach? Is that
I can
the case?
teach, yeah.
You
I can teach in a public space, Or
Great.
I can teach, well, I could teach online. I don't think you can do whatever you want, really, can't you? But I would rather have the qualification. And then I feel like going forward, like later on in my life, I might want to teach in person. I might want to teach kids. Like I would have loved to have had like a yoga teacher when I was like a teenager, like somebody that kind of could guide you a little bit more, I guess, more so in the way they speak to you rather than just the practical yoga side of it, you know, like I would have really liked that. And I think it would help a lot of people.
So this is, I think I'm going to talk about this when we do our next video, which I'm planning to do, or I'm sort of teeing it up.
You haven't committed.
No, I haven't committed, but I've been off for quite a while now. But when we come back, I really want to talk about this a little bit, about all these kind of, we kind of made a bit of a mistake a while ago, didn't we? We
got comfortable basically doing brand work because there was a lot of brand work coming in, and there just wasn't time to juggle all these different things that we were trying to do and think, like my shop that I used to have, like just didn't have time to run a shop. Like that is a full-time job to run a shop.
And I think throughout my whole life anyway, I've always been a big advocate of multiple revenue streams, like multiple backups, and having passive income coming in. And I think what happened is like I've always had like 4 or 5 different things going on, but we dropped everything to work on this brand work. And then all of a sudden the brand work stopped after COVID, and we were like, oh no, what do we do now?
Yeah.
We've dropped all these other things that were the backups. And so now what's happened is we've gone through this transitional period of, we're coming out of lockdown, coming out of the grief of dad. And now I'm kind of feel like I've got my mojo back a little bit. And I feel like we're both now getting these backups up and running again. Like right now I've been working tirelessly on a print site. So a new print site, which not only kind of stocks affordable print, but also I've reached out to loads of illustrators and photographers and designers that I really like, and they've given us some of their stuff to stock and sell, which I think is a good thing for us to do, because a lot of people who come over to our house or watch our videos always ask where we get our art from.
I always have so many comments from people being like, can you do an art tour around your house and like tell us where you got everything from? But I'm really excited about launching the print website just because it looks so good. Steph did all the like, what do you even call it? Like the web design and everything himself. But you spent hours, hours and hours. And he's a little bit like me with my my course and my practicing at the moment. Every spare second you get is spent like building this business and building the website and stuff. So it's really exciting. I feel really positive at the moment about like new ventures.
Yeah, me too. So you've got your yoga, where we've got the new print site coming up. I think I'm doing this I'm writing up the course as well on how to film, because I just feel like people should capture chapters of their life to have. I think it's such a lovely thing to do and to be able to do. My friend Jason, I've said to him the other day, I was like, you need to capture you with your grandma, because every time he does a little story about going to see her, I think it's really just lovely seeing him with his grandma in interaction. I was like, you need to have footage of you going with her out, well, when he's allowed, to a national trust, and just capturing that. And I just feel like it's such a great thing for people to capture these chapters of their life. People they forget that they are in everything in life is kind of like there's a pocket of time, and it will change. It always adapts and changes. And I think it's really good to capture that pocket. Yeah. Like the London pocket for us, and then the Bath pocket of time. And the
feels
kids,
like a different lifetime,
when they were babies,
it?
And it's all these different chapters, and you need to zoom out and capture it. So I'm just going to do this course, and you're doing the yoga stuff, and we've got the print site coming up, and I'm also writing a screenplay. So we've got all these different things that we're doing now, thank God, because I just feel like such an idiot that we took our eye off the ball for so long, and just then COVID, no brand work, grief. I was like, oh no, what do we do? So it's just a lesson, really. It's just a lesson to not let that happen.
Always
again.
have your fingers in the pies.
You need to have your fingers in so many pies, especially if you work for yourself. You can't become too reliant on one thing. I remember when I first met you and I worked for Heat, I all of a sudden had this business. I don't think I've ever talked about this anyway, but I had this business that took off while I was at Heat. And the problem is I really liked working at Heat because it was so much fun. It was so much fun. You get access to all these different, parties and events going on, and it was just a fun environment to work in. It didn't feel like going to work for a job. It felt like just going to see my mates in an office.
Isn't that because you basically used to just do your own thing for many hours of the day?
Yeah, I pretty much did. Yeah, I did.
You used to hide behind your computer and like build your little websites and stuff.
Yeah, that's it. And I had this one website that took off, and it was crazy for a while. Like Hannah and I, both growing up really poor, suddenly had money, and we were both like, well, what do we do
in
with
London
this?
It was great.
Yeah, so we were like, what do we do with this?
And we were childless.
We had money all of a sudden, which we'd never had before, and we were like, whoa, let's go out and play. And it was great for a while, and then kids came along and ruined everything. But before then, it was great. And I feel like sometimes when that happens, you can become complacent and you can think, oh, it's just always going to be like this. And unless you're always thinking 3 steps ahead, it can fall apart. So yeah, I think this has been a good lesson for us to be like, come on.
Also, I feel like for us, it is something good that's come out of lockdown, you know? I feel like in the first couple of lockdowns, I didn't really achieve anything. You know, like you see all these people, mainly people that don't have kids, like learning new things and like, I don't know, building things and businesses that have come out of it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't do any of that shit. I just tried to survive and I drank too much, you know?
Well, 2 young kids every day.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Everyone needs a break in this world.
Everyone needs a break from kids. Yeah.
Anyway, we're halfway through now, which is
halfway through
lockdown. I think we're halfway through, aren't we? To be honest, I've lost all like concept of time.
Well,
through this lockdown, every day is like the same.
I think we've got about another month before we're allowed to kind of get our haircuts and go into shops and stuff like that and meet friends.
I am looking forward to a haircut.
Oh,
I won't lie.
God, I feel like a year.
Although I feel like for girls, it's slightly better because if you have long hair, then it's like it just grows, so it's fine. Yeah. With men, it's like you can't really get away with that, can you? Unless you've got long hair.
The thing is with a man, like I'm only speaking as a man here, but with if your camera gone off? No, it's still there. The thing is with a man, I think the problem is that you feel like you can really conquer the universe with a good haircut. If you don't have a good haircut, you just feel like you can't. You're not effective.
Years.
Effective.
Oh my god. What is wrong with you?
I had too much caffeine, I think, today. I had my my river dip this morning. I'm starting to dive into the river now, so no more of this like lowering myself down like a pansy. No way, Jose. What was that? No way, Jose. Sorry. No way, Jose. I'm diving in. So I just dive in every time, and my mate Jason's always in awe of me. He's always, oh, I'm really impressed with that. That really helps me warm up a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, but so I'm just diving in. I'm like, well, I may as well just dive in. Why lower myself down like an old decrepit man? I might as well just dive in like a 20-year-old. So that's what I do. I dive in. Anyway, that's why I smell like a river right now. I haven't showered yet.
I can't smell you.
Yeah, thank God. Don't come near me. The problem is with rivers is it's full of feces.
Oh,
let's go into
that.
Let's
lower the tone.
Well,
why don't you do a campaign then to clean the rivers?
This is the problem. They literally pump sewage into the rivers, and I'm like, why are you doing that, man? I suppose because it's easy and cheap.
If you're a nice person, you'd do some kind of campaign.
I'd go on some sort of campaign. I'd write letters to my MP and stuff, but like that.
If anyone wants to draft that up for Steph and send it over.
You could probably go to the fiverr.com to get them to get somebody to draft up a letter to an MP. I bet they do that. Yeah. Anyway, having a massive issue this week with Amazon shipping. Oh God. Or Amazon shopping.
Can we not talk about Amazon shipping?
I won't go into it, but all I'll say is all I'm trying to do is set up the ability for a user to buy a print through their Amazon, but they shut down my Amazon seller account, won't tell me why, won't let me submit an appeal, reject every single email I send, just saying, don't even message us. And I'm like, can I please? The only way I can do it is go into like the chat and say to this person, look, dude, I don't know why my account shut down. Please, can you help me get it reinstated? He's like, I see a problem. Then I get a message. He goes, I'll send it to the relevant department. Then I get a message from that relevant department saying, but can't help. I'm like, what's going on, Amazon? Let me get my seller account back. They don't even tell me why they banned it.
Oh my God, I'm so bored of this chat. Do you know how many times you've told me that?
Yeah, I have been.
I want to ask the listeners something, actually. This is something really stupid, but I want to know if anyone has a dog or a pet, do you do voices for your pets? Because I can't stop doing it. And it's kind of annoying me, but at the same time, I can't stop doing it. So we do this voice for Pip and George, mainly Pip, but I can't not do it when I see her.
I think everyone does.
And it's annoying myself.
Yeah, I think everyone does pet voice. I think
it's
everyone
like,
does.
It's Pippy. Hello, I'm
so
Pippy.
You've got a different kind of voice, I think, than I do.
Yeah, yours is more brutal. You're like, hello, I'm Pip.
I just find her so ugly to look at. Like, I love her.
Leave her. He's been shaming her for like 2 weeks now. Like, look at her face. She's so ugly.
She's so cute.
No, she's not. She's like
so
the best being ever.
No, she is. I love her. She's beautiful in her own way. But as she was a cute puppy, but she's got a bit older now. She just looks a bit bog-eyed. And when she looks at you, her eyes are looking in different directions and stuff. And she's just like got a big long snout.
I'm just reading some of the comments. We're not the only ones.
Yeah, we did it for Squeaky G, remember?
I do have fully blown conversations with them. Love that. Sometimes when I get home, I lie on the kitchen floor and I just let them like crawl over me and get all excited.
I came home today after my river dip, and then the whole house was empty. I was like, oh God, they haven't been murdered, have they? And then I went upstairs and you were just all under the covers in the bedroom, all the dogs and everything, the kids. I'm like, this is not allowed.
I know. We always do stuff like that when you're not here. Toast on the sofa, dogs in the bed. I'm always like, don't tell Dad.
Oh, come on, don't make me like, oh, stern dad. I want to be fun dad. I don't want to be the dad who's just like, no, boys, you're not allowed to do that. Yeah. I'm always very conflicted about that.
Well, I'm normally the boring one. There's always a boring parent. I'm normally the boring one. I'm trying to be more fun, or like at least have like a pocket of fun in the day where I'm like, just let it go. It's fine. Like last night after dinner, I'd normally be like, right, bath time. But I was like, let's go to the climbing tree for 10 minutes.
Demi here on our comments says she has a creepy chinchilla. And she does a voice for her chinchilla.
Oh my God, I would love to hear the chinchilla voice.
The things about chinchillas.
Jan Berry, hi.
Jan Berry back in town.
Of course I have a baby voice.
The thing is about chinchillas is they stress me out. They could put me on edge. They just look so like, they're always so like stressed out looking. They stress me out. They can't relax. You ever seen a chinchilla relax?
That's a really weird thing to be stressed out by.
Every time I see one, I just get my anxiety levels spike. Yeah, don't get chinchillas near me. Can't deal with them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it. I don't have an issue doing it at home, but when it happens outdoors, people look at you like you're a weird Fruit Loop. Yeah, I've done it before outside by accident and then realised that there's people being like, why is she talking to her dog?
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, Pee-Pee.
I think I just go like, yeah.
Yeah, I love it when you do that. When you pick her up and you're like, yes.
It's just like that. It's so weird because she's just so like, just you kind of invent these voices that you think that they're thinking in, or like that's how they would talk if they talked. You can kind of imagine their voice and what they would be like and what they would act like.
There's this weird compulsion that I feel like all our family members have when you pick Pip up to like just crush her. Obviously we'd never do that, but you know when you get really excited and you're just like, oh, I just want to squish you because you're so tiny and cute. I see the kids doing it sometimes. Like Grayson will pick her up and be like, oh, I just want to squeeze you.
Oh dude, I have this compulsion when I pick up Pippi. Never do it. Don't worry. Don't freak out on me. Don't call them the bloody pet or whatever. But I have a compulsion to throw her. I'm like, I just want to throw you. And I'm like, what? Where's that come from? Neurologically, what's going on in my brain?
Weird.
That makes me want to throw her?
Caveman.
But I love it's because I love her so much, and I'm like, I just want to throw you. But I think some neurological connections being like almost like tripping past a bit of my brain that's like connected to the like wanting to throw something. I can't work it out. I would never do it, no matter how mad I was. It would never happen.
Good to know. Anyway, should we change the subject?
Yeah, I'll stop talking about wanting to throw my dog.
I just wanted to know that I wasn't the only crazy person that had dog voices for my animals.
But it's sometimes, you know, when you see something, you want to bite it or you want to like squeeze it. Or like, I just want to squeeze that thing really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a psychological thing. Yeah.
I believe you. Don't worry.
Yeah. So anyway, how else are you? How else are you doing? How else has your week been? You been good?
Me?
Yeah, you.
What day is it?
Tuesday.
I think that says a lot, really, doesn't it? No, it's been good. It's been good. I feel like I've got a lot done. It's been a productive week so far. I just wish that there was more time in a day. Like I feel like by the time the kids go to bed, I want to do something productive, but then I also want to leave time to like rest and relax, because otherwise you're just waking up again and it's like everything starts again and you haven't actually like taken the time to just do nothing, you know?
Yeah.
And there's something really nice about doing nothing and not feeling bad for it. Yeah. When was the last time you did that? Hey.
I mean, I stand in the river. That's kind of doing nothing, just standing
Not
there in the
really.
cold river. I suppose I'm doing something. But I'm having this weird thing at the moment where I told you earlier about it. I always feel like I've always had this weird obsession with time and how time works. I've always tried to unravel how I perceive time. And I went quite far down that rabbit hole, and it actually ended up having a really detrimental effect on me. Whereas I almost reprogrammed my brain to stop seeing this linear process of life and ended up seeing almost, I suppose it's almost an interpretation of time. I've been trying to deconstruct my interpretation of time because I find it so fascinating that I'm always in the now. Anyway.
I'm reading a few books at the moment that delve into like a bigger, deeper delve into time and how we as humans, we felt the need to kind of construct time in a way that made sense to how we were living, when actually it's a human construct. It doesn't actually exist, and that you're literally living in one present moment that leads on to the next present moment. So you are always in the now. So like now we're sitting here doing this is the same moment that we'll be sitting here next week doing this.
Yeah, of
it's all
course.
just one
instant.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that.
But when you think about it like that,
so when I was,
if you haven't before, it's kind of mind blowing. You're like, and then you're like, how do I continue living? Knowing that.
I remember when I was about 8 or 9 years old, the first time I did it, I was in Godalming and I was walking over a bridge and I just said to myself weirdly, I just said now, I said the word now. And I put a flag in that moment. And then for years and years and years after that, randomly throughout the week, throughout the months, I would just say the same thing now. And then I'd eventually, after many years, what I felt like I did is I saw all of those nows together and I turned them on this side and I kind of looked at them straight instead of a linear thing. I looked at them if they were stacked and I was looking down on them and I was like, oh wow. And then I kind of started to unravel my perception of time. Sorry, I'm trying to talk to you, but I'm aware you're reading something, so it's really difficult.
I'm listening. I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah, and I started to unravel this perception of time, and then I kind of left it as this kind of thought experiment that I was doing, and I never really just thought I was just me being a bit like a bit spectrumy maybe. And then years later, I saw this video by this guy called Julian Barber, who's some sort of physicist, and he talked about time, and he talked about nows, being these flags and these moments that should be seen like nows like on a washing line, and instead of seeing them as a washing line, you see them from the side. And I was like, that's exactly what I've just been doing for all this time. The problem is I'm too thick to in any way go any further than understand it from an emotional level, if you know what I mean. Like I can't go into the actual theories of time because I'm just too I'm limited
I bought
by
a
my
book
brain.
Probably just over a year ago about that exact thing, and I literally read like 4 pages and I had to stop because I had to like digest because my brain was like, I don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
It does go quite
and it's all like physics and stuff, and I was just never great with that. My brain just it's hard to comprehend.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, so sometimes when I'm standing on the edge of this pontoon about to jump into the water, which I'm doing, I did a whole week of it last week. Every morning I got up and did it for 7 days, and now I took a couple of days off, and now I need to go back and do it again. I said to you last night, didn't I? I was like, I just feel the impact, the mental health impact has hit me from not doing it. So now I got up this morning, I feel great again because I jumped in the water. It seems to be, if I get up and get in cold water in the morning, I feel great.
It's weird you were saying, I can't remember if it was me you were saying it to or if I just overheard you on the phone, but you were saying how you actually feel better from doing 7 minutes submerged in cold water than you do after you do a weight workout.
Yeah.
Like a workout, which isn't that mad?
It is mad. And it's so strange. It's so strange that has is more beneficial, that cold water. But anyway, so I said to my friend, I feel like I'm always standing on that pontoon. Why do I feel like all the nows are coming back to this moment where I'm about to jump into the water? Like, why do I always feel like I'm standing here? I feel like everything is leading to this
because
moment.
Technically you are always standing there, and you're always not standing there, and you're always in another moment, and like, it's all happening at the same time, and it's also happening in a parallel universe. And once you start thinking about it, you're like,
The problem is when you try and unravel it, you're trying to unravel billions of years worth of evolution that have made you interpret time as a linear thing. So that you've been so programmed to see it as linear because it's all like fight or flight, getting up in the morning, need to hunt for food, need to get this. You have to see it as a linear thing. You have, in order to progress and to survive. You can't live just isolated in the now.
But don't you find it frustrating when you realize that and you're like, well, I can't do anything about it. I can't change my life, because you have to have times of the day that you do things like 3 o'clock, we pick up the kids, like you can't not have it.
And you are hardwired. You have hardware in your head that sees it that way, that you can't see it any other way. You can flirt with the idea and you can emotionally connect to another idea of it, but you cannot completely fundamentally change your perception, I don't think, of time. I mean, you can think it isn't this, but you can't spend your day in a different state of consciousness where time isn't this linear thing. I don't think. You still be like, I'm hungry, I need to get some food, I need to get to the bathroom, I need to do this, I need to have a shower later, I need to next week I've got this meeting.
I'm reading a book at the moment called, well, I'm really nearly finished actually. It's one of the things I want to do today is finish it. It's called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I think you'd really like it. I always trying to force Steph to read
I listened to his Power of Now book, but his voice really annoyed
oh
me.
yeah, his voice kind of annoys me too,
I didn't like his
which
voice.
is probably an unpopular opinion, but A New Earth goes quite deep into that, about how to kind of find and locate your conscious between your body and your thoughts, it's like the thing behind that almost. So the moments where you're not thinking, I'm butchering it, but like the space between your thoughts is your conscious, if that makes sense. Did that make sense?
Yes.
So like if you can catch yourself between thoughts and start trying to do that, then you're more of an aware, conscious person.
Yeah.
In the stillness, you know?
And I think when you meditate, it's so fascinating to observe your thoughts.
And
because-
to try and stop them is like,
because
it's so hard to get into a meditative state.
I think in order to see them as these passing trains that are going, and you're like, you zoom out of them and go, oh, I'm acknowledging that. Oh, I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking about this. And you have to think about what you're thinking about, and then even think about what you're thinking about, And you zoom out so far that I think that's how you get into that state of mind. Are you okay?
Sorry, yeah.
I know you're reading comments. I can't talk to you when you're reading comments. You're so invested in looking at a screen.
I know, but otherwise we don't read them.
Yeah.
It's good to know what people say.
Somebody's asked, Gabba, hi mate. They asked what the cold water therapy is. The name of the company is called. There's my friend that runs something called I think he's called Icebreakers on Instagram, and they talk about it and go into it. And I do it with those guys sometime. We have our own little collective of people that do it.
I think it's difficult at the moment though, isn't it? Because obviously social distancing. So it's like you can't. I think you're allowed to do that as a group though, aren't you?
Yes, you are. I think you are, as long as you social distance.
Yeah.
And it's a health thing. It's a health thing.
Yeah.
It's like a fitness thing. But
and it's outside.
But they had to change the name from Icebreakers because they were called Man Makers. I think they were called. Was it called Man Makers? What were they called? Yeah, they were called Man Makers. So then I set up a splinter group with my friends who also did it called People Makers, and we pretended to be super woke, and we were really anti them for being like misogynistic, problematic. Kind of we just had this kind of whole story running about them, but then they rebranded as being Icebreakers, and we couldn't take the piss anymore.
It's a good name.
It was fun.
It's a strong name.
It's a strong name, but it's made such a huge difference to me mentally. And my friend Neil, who does it with me, he was even. I said to him yesterday, I called him. I said, Neil, I really miss it. It's been only 2 days we haven't done it, and I really miss it. He's like, me too. I really want to do it again. I'm like, I know, so do I. It's bizarre, and now I feel amazing because I did it, and I just feel like it's something that I wish I
feel like anything like that you can do that puts you in a good mental space should be always encouraged.
So, somebody asked, have you struggled with overthinking how to live in the now and stop worrying about the future before you get there?
So hard not to live in the future. I found, especially as a parent, you're always forward thinking. You're always thinking what's going to happen and what we're going to have for dinner and stuff. And it's so hard to just actually sit in the moment. Yeah. It's so hard, and it's something you really have to work at. I'm learning. I feel like I'm on a journey, but it's so good to practice.
Yeah, I think
it's really important.
I think the power of the now is so strong, where you're in a moment and you have to just, instead of just being, oh, this is nice, you have to really be
like feel everything, smell everything, like
just like even this morning, you do a bit of breathing exercise before you get in the cold river, and you just sit there and you do some breaths, and then everything, all of a sudden, it's like everything goes into like your senses become hyper aware, and all the sounds around you are so much more virulent, and everything just feels so much more visceral in that moment. So yeah, I think
some dude just gave us money.
Yeah, I know.
That's so sweet.
Every time we log in, he gives us a couple of quid. Thanks, mate.
That's really sweet.
No, it's so nice of you. Don't have to do that,
Thank
mate.
you.
Don't spend your money on us. Buy yourself something nice. Treat yourself.
Go get yourself a coffee or something.
Yeah.
Thank you, though. That's really kind.
Well, let's get to some questions now. Do you feel fear that it keeps you from living in the moment? Do you feel fear? Do you feel it's fear? Oh, do you feel it's fear that keeps you from?
I don't know. Not necessarily. I think maybe that's one of the things that keeps you from living in the moment.
I think there's less fear in the moment than there is with the anxiety that comes with always thinking about what could potentially happen in the future.
I think for me, a lot of things that keep you from living in the moment, or a lot of what keeps me from living in the moment, is that I still feel like I constantly need to be productive and doing things. And I'm kind of slowly learning, a lot through yoga, but a lot through like what I'm reading and what I'm kind of putting into my brain at the moment, that I'm kind of learning to slow down and just be rather than constantly do. And a sentence that I read in a book recently was that what I found that really resonated with me was that doing won't save you. Like doing loads of stuff isn't going to make you feel more present or more like, I mean, it's going to make you feel accomplished or whatever, but it's essentially you're not living because you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
That was a really long-winded way to answer that question.
I mean,
sorry.
all of this kind of mindfulness and this stuff that we talk about and these things that we do, it kind of annoys me when I see so much stuff out there about people who are constantly trying to enforce or convince me that their way of doing things has made them so, I don't know, has enabled them to understand themselves and this earth a lot better and this life a lot better, where we're still always ebbing and flowing, you and I. So one minute, like right now, I'm feeling great, but in about a week I might be in a really dark place, and I haven't figured anything out. Like I'm still trying to figure it all out as I go, and there's
Nobody has it figured out.
Yeah, but I
though.
don't want to sound like some sort of sanctimonious twat that's kind of worked it all out and has this thing that he's kind of mindful and understands everything. I'm so confused and broken inside a lot
I
of the
think
time.
everybody is though.
Yeah.
Most people, I mean, a lot of people are kind of on this weird soul searching thing, especially after COVID-19. Like so many people have so many questions. And I feel like for me, like there's been a couple of times in my life where I've probably a dangerous subject here, but I feel like I've almost tried to find God. Like I've been like, there must be something in this. I don't believe in God as such, but there's been a couple of times where I've sort of tried to be more open to the idea of that. And I feel like after COVID-19 that so many more people are searching for something that's deeper, and people have slowed down and sort of realized, hang on a minute, I don't want to be on this rat race. I don't want to just be doing this. I don't want to be on the hamster wheel every day. I want to enjoy my life. Why am I living it like this, you know?
I think, I think what's interesting about that is that I think the problem is with humans, or what we humans like to do with our tiny little brains in our heads, is we like to take ideas and simplify them in a way that we can understand them. So you and I being, I suppose, not atheist, but agnostic, believing in something, but not knowing what that thing is, not understanding what that thing is. Some people may call it a god, some people may call it whatever they call it. The believing in there being something far bigger than we could possibly understand is something that I think everyone should think, because you can't think that this is just what you see is exactly all there is. You'd be so naive to think that, but you also have to be very aware of how limited you are and how limited your brain is to be able to comprehend it. So I think believing in something larger, but growing up in like a really Catholic background, when I grew up, it was very much like, feel guilty for this. You've got to, God's always listening to what you're saying. Go and do your confession, do your confirmation. The way they've kind of made it such a binary thing and made it, and this, I didn't really agree or understand. Or I remember being a kid questioning it, being like, I don't really understand why they're doing it this way.
I feel like when I grew up, I went to a Church of England school, so there was a lot of religious education there, but we as a family, like we never really ever really talked about it. Like we just didn't, this is not something that was addressed in my family. And I would love to go back now and ask my mum what she believed, but then kind of thinking back, I'm like, well, she got really into like going to these spiritual fairs with my auntie Carol, and like they'd go and do like the Reiki healing and all these different kind of workshops and stuff together. So I'm like, maybe that's where I'm getting all this from, is because that's kind of in learnt behavior from seeing my mum kind of get into that and like exploring that kind of realm.
Yeah.
That's kind of parallel almost, would you say, with like religion, like believing in something and I think some kind of like spirituality and stuff.
I think the same thing with religion, it plugs into the same thing. Like when I'm jumping into that cold water and I'm connecting to the now and the present, I could easily conflate that and be that, well, that's God, that's me connecting to God. I could, that's such a simple thing to do, and in a way it is, it's connecting to something larger than what we are.
So the book that I'm reading at the moment, one of them, on a very basic levels, basically says that everything in the earth is like obviously interconnected and stuff, but that is God, but it's not God as in like the person God, like that you would pray to, but it's like a higher energy that they just describe as God, that all the religions describe as like a certain God, but essentially you're all kind of worshipping the same or similar.
Exactly that. I think that's it. I think every religion is just like a kind of a way
Yeah.
of simplifying something and connecting to that higher force.
Yeah.
But they've done it through different funnels, and it's all going the same place, going to the
Yeah.
same place. But they've kind of got these different deities and different
Yeah.
kind of prophets and stuff. But it all connects to the higher thing. They've got and people just have different names for it.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
But when I
once
remember
you start
being
learning
a kid and I
about
was learning about Catholicism and all these other different religions, I remember being like, okay, so I get to these pearly gates, and then it's just potluck whether I chose the right religion. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. There was something about, I just don't agree or believe at all in that. I grew up a Catholic, but I was very much not a Catholic. Very much don't agree with any way they've structured that religion. Just don't think saw it really. When I lived in Ireland, Catholicism has much more of a tight grip over that country, and it's to their detriment, I think, a lot of the time, because it weaves in a lot of guilt, and it weaves in, like, you're supposed to feel bad for like earning money, and you're supposed to feel bad for doing well, and it kind of holds people back and stops. And a lot of people there's a joke. What is that joke that my friend said in Ireland? I think, it was a really funny joke. He goes, there's a guy who's collecting loads of crabs, and he's putting them into a small bucket, and somebody comes along and says to this Irish man, he goes, why are you putting all the crabs in such a small bucket? Don't they climb out? And he goes, no, because if one tries to climb out, the other one will pull them back in again. And it's so true. That's what it's like in Ireland. It's like they call it, what is it, the word they say now? They've got notions. They've got notions about themselves. It's always trying to, like, I don't know. There's not like in America where they're just like, yeah, man, you go, man. Failure is part of success, and everyone's just like championing each other. There doesn't seem to be as prevalent. So I think that ties into this the religion of Catholicism, which I found really difficult to swallow when I was a kid, growing up in that kind of environment. I remember having to do confessions and sitting in this little box with a priest. So what have you done wrong this week? I just said the same thing. I stole a couple of pounds from my sister. That's all I used to say.
I think a lot of people probably as well kind of get to kind of our age, like 30s or 40s, and you kind of think, okay, I've ticked a few of these boxes that like society says I'm supposed to tick. Like, you've got a career, or you might have had children, or maybe you own a property or whatever, and you've kind of ticked a few boxes, and then you kind of like, well, what else is there? Like, why am I here? I'm not here to keep doing this. So, and then you almost have this like internal crisis where you're like, what do I do now? You know, what's the point?
Yeah.
Anyway, on that note, I'm starving. So can we round this up?
Yeah. Okay.
And I need to walk the dogs.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone.
Thanks, guys. That got a little bit deeper.
Yeah, we were only
than normal.
planning to do like a 20-minute podcast, and it's ended up being like 40 minutes. So thank you so much for tuning in and for watching and for listening.
Yes.
Have a great week, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. I just keep saying the same. I just keep going around in circles saying the same thing over and over again because I find saying goodbye so awkward. Don't you?
You're not very good at being snappy.
Goodbyes are really
you?
hard. Like,
thanks for joining us and listening to our inane chat once again. Thanks for all your support, and we will see you all next Tuesday.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Love you loads. Bye. Bye.